good, man. That's great. So you did about 6 or 7 years there, huh?
Yeah, yeah, and I really it was a place that actually made me contemplate whether I really wanted to get promoted or not.
Oh, really? Oh, was
Yeah,
that good, huh?
yeah. I mean, I was like, I really, there was a great, not just firehouse, everything about it. Great commute,
Yeah,
great amount of work,
yeah,
great guys. It was definitely a house that you could see wasn't affected by the changing of the times or anything like that.
right,
Still motivated guys to work. The engine was great. The truck was great. It was,
right.
and still I talk to guys from time to time still from there, and it sounds like they're still doing great.
That's great. Like a place like that, because you have to put the commitment in to study, because obviously you know what the commitment is. You got to make that decision. Like, do I commit to studying because I want to leave, like, or do I just say fuck it and not put all that time in and just stay here and because studying for captain, like, forget it. I mean, studying for lieutenant was crazy, and I didn't do well. But
It's
that's the commitment.
absolutely
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, I mean, as far as I could say, at least I've almost been in every rank as long as I possibly could because I was the bottom of the barrel of the lieutenants list. I was
Yeah.
literally 21 away from the bottom,
Oh wow. Okay.
and I was the second to last class off the captain's list that I took. So, kind of at least spent anywhere where I was the maximum amount of time I could say I did.
Yeah. Yeah. And so when did you got promoted to captain and sent to Division 8 when?
October of 21.
October
Uh,
2021.
yeah,
All
it
right.
was right before. I forget what was it. The vaccination thing or something. I forget what caused
Mm.
the staffing crisis where they were closing firehouses.
God, dude, that was
It was
that's
that time.
it was a
It
night.
was 2 weeks before that because I had no home and they were trying to keep everybody in the
Yeah.
same spot or something like that, and only officers were like allowed to. Yeah, and they were splitting tours, or
Yeah.
guys were going home at midnight,
It
and
was the weirdest schedule. Guys were going home or getting kicked off the rig at midnight because they just did a 24 or something, and then they were closing firehouses and sending guys from all over the place. It was It was crazy chaos. I remember the very last fire I caught. This one is fifth alarm, which was more than a fifth. At midnight, it came in after midnight, and I came down and there was nobody. It was just me and Danny Erickson is the chauffeur, and I didn't know who was behind me. And some probie comes walking out of the back from somewhere in the Bronx. He's like, "Oh, I'm your control man." I was like, "Oh man, here we go." I was like, this sucks." Not that the kids sucked, but it was just the whole dynamic of the way the job was and moving guys around. And we get there, and then I had to wait for 69 to show up to have extra guys on the line. It was just, I hated that whole thing, man. I hated it. It was just really bad the way they did things, which turned me
yeah,
off. So
yeah, yeah. That was kind of almost a bit of the nail in the coffin for me with
yeah,
that.
yeah. That job is maybe when I go, yeah, I'm not feeling this anymore. I'm done.
Mhm.
I'm done. When did you get on the IMT?
2015, I think. Yeah. And that even too, like, was a bit of a surprise too, because I
Mhm.
didn't know anything about the IMT and didn't know anybody on the IMT whatsoever. And I show up for the interview. I'm early in class A's, and you hear some stories where people just showed up in like their civilian clothes and
Hair
things like that.
shorts and sneakers.
Yes. And I had a side gig before I did the flashover booth
Okay.
at the so I at least had some sort of like as far as like they saw that I was willing to work beyond just the normal,
Yeah.
firehouse schedule.
Yeah.
And so I'm sitting there, and the guy shows up before me. Or no, he shows up for the interview after me, but he shows up there at the same time. And they come out from the interview after interviewing the one guy, like, "Oh, you're up next, cool." And then that guy goes, "Hey, Shane, hey this, hey that," like all the names. I'm like, "Oh, I know how this interview is going."
Yeah. He knows everybody. This guy. He's a shoo-in.
And I'm like, I don't know anybody on this job. My father was a locksmith and a policeman upstate. But I had just got back from Cancun the night before, and I got Montezuma's revenge.
Oh,
I am
brutal.
as white. I'm as white as my officer's uniform shirt.
Oh
And I
man.
remember answering one question, and I could even hear myself like I'm like and now in a blank stare, like answering a question, mumbling. I don't even know what I'm saying is nonsensical anymore. And it's like I feel like that part in Old School where we're dumber for listening to you. You know, like God have mercy on your soul type of thing. And I had not so they had a couple of positions that they had to apply for, and like one of them was like food unit leader, and I'm like I don't, I was never the cook in the firehouse, you know, I was always the guy to chop, so I didn't think I could do that job, so I signed up for map making, you know,
Okay.
not thinking that it was, you know, like what you know from being in the military, like GIS, like, you know, like topography and planting
Oh,
points,
oh
like
man. I would have been like, sorry, give me, was that food service job still open?
I'm like, I would go out on BI. I would put up Google Maps and put a little pin there, and that's where, you know, like that's what what I thought. So I thought for sure
Draw
that
like a map.
I thought I wasn't going to get this thing, and then like about I think a month later, get a phone call like, "Hey, you want to join the IMT?" I'm like, "Yeah,
Nice.
absolutely."
Nice. And that was the position that you got?
Nah, so I wound up getting just that was just to get you into the
Oh,
section.
okay. Okay.
So I got into the planning section,
Hmm.
which was to me, I love the section. I mean, I think you probably love any section that you get into. It's kind of like the firehouse. Mine's the best. Yours is sucks type of thing. So,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Good gig though, the IMT, right? You guys
yeah,
went
I
around
mean,
some disasters and stuff like that?
yeah. So it's unbelievable. Like the things that I never thought I would see the world when I was, you know, going to be in the IMT, but went to Puerto Rico, Texas,
Right, right. But you're
Texas,
doing the
like
disaster zones, like,
yeah, Montana. I remember
oh,
my first they sent me out to Montana to help with a fire out there, and all I was doing was just checking people in, and you know, there's like a job for everything. Like every little bit helps that get along.
yeah.
I remember like it was like such like a my cousin Vinny type of thing, like camping out in the middle of nowhere in bear country, and literally set up my tent. First of all, I had no clue. I set it up on top of like a mouse den.
Oh,
So I 2 o'clock in the morning, I have mice running underneath my tent, and I'm like playing like whack a mole. But it was right next to a train that would go by at like 5 o'clock in the morning. And I
man.
remember I did the thing from my cousin Vinny walking into the tent next morning, bloodshot eyes. I'm like, does that train go by every time at 5 o'clock in the morning?
No, not every time. What was that train like? What just to be out to learn to be out?
Cargo train going through the middle of Montana, just
Right.
and then
Well, the training, like being in the tents. What was
training.
that training? Was that just to be?
So that was actually at a wildfire. That was
Oh, okay.
checking all the fire crews in and stuff like that. And then they find out, obviously, from I don't think I have a New York accent, but you know, when you go to Montana, you definitely do.
Yeah.
They find out, oh, you're you know, you're they call it structure fireman. Like, oh well, that's crazy. Like that's I'm like crazy. I'm like, you guys are being parachuted into the middle of a fire.
Yeah.
And you're just going like this and like raking stuff and using. I'm like, hell no. Like
Completely.
you guys don't know. Like you guys are awesome.
Yeah. Completely. I mean, all firemen, but completely different fucking jobs, man. Like
Yeah.
they're digging holes. They use like heavy equipment and stuff like that, right? Like
Yeah.
so.
I'm like, you carry a thing on your side so that you could wrap it around you when the fire comes over you if you have to. I'm like, we're just like backing out.
We'll just back out. Wow, that's
So,
crazy stuff. You probably learned a lot on that on the IMT. That's pretty cool though. Real good
yeah. I mean,
resume stuff.
it was really, really interesting. And it definitely was something I wish I could have, you know, done earlier. And
Yeah,
I just felt like it was one of those things like, it's something for like a senior man. And then they don't. They want somebody that, you know, stays there longer. So it's something that they would want like earlier on in your career.
yeah,
Because by the time you get somebody sped up to like the higher positions, they, you know, retire. Because that's what actually kind of what happened to me. Nobody expected I was going to retire. They were grooming me up. I became a planning section chief, which is the guy that oversees the writing of the plan and all the scheduling, the meeting, and the stuff like that.
yeah.
And I'm thinking like I'm here during COVID, you know, telling the chief of department when he could speak, like, okay, it's your turn, chief. Like, like, I'm like sitting here, like, I'm just like a little
I would have been like,
lieutenant.
yeah, all right, Chief, I got you with the freaking power now.
And I'm sitting here on a plan correcting grammar and like punctuation marks and stuff like that, like on so it sounds grammatically correct. And my 10th grade English teacher told me I was gonna be a garbage man when I grew up. Like that's how bad my like I got through English through the skin of my teeth. And now the New York City Fire Department trusts me to scrutinize a plan for proper grammar and punctuation.
It's crazy. Well,
Yeah.
that's cool, man. So you decide to retire in 2023. You're like, I'm done. You moved down south, correct? Yeah.
Yep.
So how's living down south?
So much. It's so nice.
Yeah.
It's yeah. I always hated snow. After you get out of high school, it doesn't get you out of anything anymore. You still got to drive through it to get to work. So,
Yeah.
um, they talk about like if there's any type of like of an ice storm coming through, like the town shuts down for a day. I'm like, I'm good with that. I could
The ice storm in down south is like everything shuts down and have any snow or ice removal. Just wait till it warms up and it'll melt.
yeah. I had a house built down here, and the closing got pushed off for a week because they had like a quarter inch of an ice that came one day and melted the next day. But
Yeah.
totally screwed up plans for everybody for that entire week.
I lived in Virginia a little while, a little north of where you are, and same thing. If it snowed a little bit, just a dusting, everything would shut down. Like the military bases would shut everything. It was crazy
Yeah.
until it just warmed up. So you're retired, you're bored, you work for Home Depot for a day or two,
Yeah.
and you decide to become a content creator. You decide to start a YouTube channel called Searching for Tone. What I mean, I know we hit a little bit on it in the beginning, but what made you decide to do that? Like it's not an easy world. Like like for me, I had a little bit of fear of judgment, of being judged by people.
Yeah.
Like I was like, screw it. I'm tired of watching other people do it. Let me try. What
hmm
was your motivation for trying something like this?
So I feel like we're both the same. It's kind of like a continuation of a way of trying to help out people, and like that service of to other people.
Yeah,
So I felt like I could bring something that a lot of people can't, as far as like I was a fire instructor too for like 15 years, and I always strive to help the person out that had the extra, like, maybe a little bit harder to learn, break things down more simpler,
yeah,
and resonated with them, I think, better than somebody that was a rocket scientist and got it right away.
yeah,
So I felt like I could get into that, and had no clue how many people were actually out there, because the way the whole thing works is that a lot of these channels are hidden unless you start like actually doing deep dives and looking at it. So I always knew that there was probably about 20, 30 major channels, and then I saw some ones that weren't great. And I will never knock anybody after getting into content creating about
no way.
how good or how bad their stuff is, because if you have the courage to get up in front of a screen and do this thing, then yeah, props to you, because it's so much. It's almost kind of like being a probie again in the firehouse, like especially like even you get like a stinging I'm like, I'm here trying to help you, and I probably have this 12-year-old telling you, you suck, your playing sucks, like, you, and I respond back, oh, you're right, I'm just gonna quit YouTube because you said so, like.
So what's the Searching for Tone channel about? Explain the channel, what it's about, what you do.
So really wanted to get back into playing and almost kind of like highlight that almost in a way like, hey, I'm one of you, like we could do this together. We'll start learning together.
Yeah.
And what I hated was when I was playing back in the day, these huge channels, they could take like an $80 guitar or a $20 pedal and make thing sound like completely amazing.
Wow.
I get it home and it sounds like absolute crap. And I'm
Like
like, this,
sound in their room. They must have sound things in their
yeah,
room and
what is that guy doing? Like, what am I doing wrong? And it actually feels discouraging when that happens to you. So I'm like,
yeah.
me do this stuff, and I hopefully that like even as I get hopefully better, that I could still do that type of content and show them what it sounds like, because a lot of this stuff really is good now, but a lot of it is dog shit that's out
Yeah.
there, and
Like do you mean channels of dog shit or the equipment?
the equipment is
Okay. Okay.
the equipment. Like some of it, like I got something that was like, and it could be just that model, but a lot of these reviewers that are so well known, like
Yeah.
if you're gonna get this out to 100,000 people, I think if the company sends you out a product, they're probably gonna have somebody like with a fine tooth comb, like going through it and making sure it's set up well and under a
It's the
like
best one that they got. Right? They
right.
should. Yeah.
So I'd rather get something completely like from the distributor, like not even knowing that it's going to this person, to find out what it's really going to be like when you get it home.
Yeah. Yeah. You do a lot of unboxing stuff. What's some of the best equipment that you've unboxed and some of the worst as far as guitars? And you just do guitars and pedals, or is there other equipment involved?
So right now, mostly I tried to do guitars and pedals,
Hmm.
and more so guitar. It's so weird. Like when I remember back in the day watching YouTube, and like the whole guitar pedal thing was huge. You would like watch like channels forever
Yeah.
on this pedal compared to that pedal, and you could do a pedal and it gets like 500 views. You could do a crappy guitar and it gets like 5,000 reviews. It's like I'm like
There's no
I
rhyme or
don't.
reason. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like I guess I missed the mark on starting then. Maybe it would have been better, but and the guitar isn't the cheapest part of it either. But
Yeah.
and the problem is, I think, is they don't understand that you're so genuine in your review. First of all, people don't even understand is you're not getting paid for this. Like they
Right.
automatically assume you start from day one. That like you're just a cheap paid shill for this company. I'm like, actually, I'm a cheap unpaid shill because I don't get paid for this.
It's funny that you say that because my wife ran into some friends of hers and they were like, "Oh, how's Kenny in his retirement and stuff?" And she's like, "Oh, he's good, but he's working for the school now a little bit." And they're like, "Oh, his podcast though, he's getting paid from his podcast." She's like, "No, he ain't getting paid." And
Yeah.
that's like you said, people don't understand just because you have a YouTube channel or whatever. We're not getting paid. There's certain parameters, and even when even when you hit those, if I do, you're not getting paid much. So this is all on the arm.
Yeah, yeah. If you've seen an ad during this thing, he's not getting paid for this right now. That ad is for free. But
Yeah.
yeah, and that's another thing. Is like people are like, oh, you get those memberships and stuff like that. Yeah, YouTube takes 30%, and then the federal government's going to take their cut. Like at the end of the day, if you're breaking even,
Like
so
I'm scratching. Like my goal was to start to not to take away from the guitar searching for tone. My goal is 1,000 and 4,000 because that's where you can get monetized. And I feel like I'm scratched, like I'm just clawing my way there, man. And you get 400 subscribers or 500, and you're like, okay, we're working. All of a sudden, you wake up the next day and you have 398 subscribers. You lost two, and you're like, what the fuck just happened? Why did we?
I say, it's time to go fuck their mother. I mean,
Yeah, like what are you gonna do? Subscribe and not ever look at it again. Just subscribe.
yeah,
But no, man, the searching for tone, like the unboxing stuff, like your editing is really really cool. You get right to the point. Like and it's quick, especially your shorter videos are quick. Like they're really really cool. So I really appreciate your channel, especially somebody who's tried to play guitar before.
right.
Do you think in the future that you'll be doing maybe lessons or just getting people on to do lessons with them or them teach you or
I think what I wanted to do was eventually get into the progression of like going over other channels that do lessons and maybe like do them either like in a live stream or and then eventually getting to that point of breaking down simple things to help people,
yeah,
whether it's like how to properly fret strings or something like that, how
yeah.
to set up a guitar, even
Mhm.
though there are already so many videos out there already, a lot of them are kind of outdated. And I try to do something a little bit different to be a little different than other channels, and sometimes that helps, sometimes that hurts. Like one person, like I couldn't even watch this video. I love this guitar. I know the person very well, but I couldn't even make it through this video because you didn't spend enough time with this guitar. So the next video I shoot, I take the guitar into bed with me.
I saw that. Is that why you had the guitar in bed with you?
Yep.
See,
I'm like, I'll use something for motivation. I'm gonna spend. I almost wanted to do like the scene from Naked Gun where they're playing the Beach Boys and they're like strolling on the park, or they're like doing like
nice too.
push the guitar on the swing.
Am I spending enough time with it now?
I'll take my subtle sarcasm that kind of smacks you in the face.
Yeah.
Like, as a kind of like an inspiration type thing.
It's almost like I want to, like, I haven't gotten too many comments. So I told you I put out that video yesterday, and I'm starting to get the clown comments and, your job sucks type of stuff. And I want to go back at them, like I want to explain stuff, but I also know that I could just wind up spending way too much time and energy on somebody who really doesn't give a shit about that. They're just being jackasses, or if they don't agree with you. So I got to learn to just ignore that stuff. We'll leave it alone and just kind of concentrate on like the positive stuff. Because if I let a little comment bother me, it'll bother me all day, and I just can't even pay attention. You seem to take it very well, though. Some of the comments that you've got.
Yeah, actually, it's funny you say that because I actually just had to reshoot a video not too long ago because I did one after, and it's like such like an innocent video that I shot. I was highlighting a huge content creator that I followed for many years.
Yeah.
And he has like 750 subscribers. And I'm like, if I can't do it for you, I'll put you on to the person that can. So let me make a video about this. And I had mentioned he had gotten a lot of flack during COVID times for because at that time people were now trying to like make shock videos, trying to twist everything. So I found something that somebody was trying to claim about the guy and said, well, if you look at the thing as a whole, as a context, and you know the person, they're trying to make it something that it's absolutely not.
Yeah.
And I said that I was just a little too busy, during the COVID time, trying to help New York City solve the pandemic issue.
Mm-hmm.
This guy comes at me with this comment, and I should have printed it out, but to paraphrase it, he goes like, nice little finger swirl, slay queen or something like that. Like, what did some stupid GED New York City fireman have to do with help solving, the pandemic issue of, I'm sure all these doctors and things like that. And it didn't bother me in the sense of, I don't care what you say about me.
Yeah.
What pissed me off was that you thought that of a firefighter, that they're just some stupid GED.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
so I said, sorry for you not knowing anything about me or anything like that, but I was, part of his incident management team that was not only trying to get supplies for the firefighters out in the field that, was when we first started, we were projecting that we were going to run out of masks and gloves within 14 days of this starting in January. This was before any lockdowns or shutdowns in March. Then I was part of antibody testing, and I was part of the home vaccination of our elderly, and then also part of the program for vaccinating the workforce, which became the model for vaccinating the entire workforce of New York City.
Yeah.
So I probably didn't expect that from a little YouTube channel that has 500 or 300 followers at the time. And I ran this stuff, but I ran the meetings and things like that. And I was only part of it, for 2-3 weeks at a time, and then came back. But did that for the entire year of COVID.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that to be like, oh, this guy's super important. And I said, at the end of the day, you could have just clicked away and,
That's what I don't understand. If people don't like your content or my content or somebody's content, I think maybe not because we're old and mature. We're just decent people. If you don't like it, just move on. There's no sense in throwing a comment out and destroying some young person, some little kid's life that is trying to do something fun, and somebody makes a bad comment. That's gonna affect them. Just move the fuck on. Just move
Yeah.
on. You don't like it, you don't like it. Okay, that's fine. You don't have to watch it. But why sit there and
Yeah. And
or disrespect them with shitty comments?
and I was, and I totally, I could take any other comment. It was just the fact that it pissed me off that's the what you think about not me, that what you think about firemen, that we're just
Yeah,
a bunch of like, you little pansy. I'm willing to risk my life to run into a building. Not that we run, but go
right.
into a building and yank your little whiny ass out of a back bedroom, and that's what you think of a profession.
Yeah.
And maybe he could have been just like angry at COVID. I don't know. I don't know
Maybe a
what it was.
fireman was banging his wife.
And that's the thing, is like they don't understand the humor sometimes. So I was gonna be like, maybe he was just a police officer, like
Yeah.
his old lady got stolen by a fireman, and any police officers watching out there, what we're talking about. Like
Yeah, it
it's just
happened.
banter back and forth. But I've had people like say to me like, your playing sucks, and then they go and they troll you through the rest of your comments, and then they or go to another video. I did a video, like my first video, I did absolutely no playing, and the guy goes 15 minutes and not one single part of this was playing. So I write back to him, I'm like, oh, this must have been your favorite video though, because the last comment you left as you said you hated my playing.
Yeah, but thanks for watching all my other videos, though. I appreciate that, but you're gonna leave nasty comments. My daughter had said she started like some of the comments that I got on TikTok. She started like trolling them. She was like, "I'm your number one troll defense." I was like, "Right, just leave them alone. Don't even bother." She goes, "No, even the bad comments are what generate more views. The more
Oh,
comments
absolutely.
you get,
Yeah.
the more the algorithm takes it, I guess." So I don't
Oh
know.
yeah, I keep them on the hook for a while, just commenting back and forth. I'm like, this
Yeah.
thing's gonna show like 50 comments, so it's gonna
Yeah.
boost it up to the algorithm. Because I had one guy, and I try not to, again, not have it affect the product. With one guy, crazily, he goes about one guitar. Yeah, they have a climate controlled uh, warehouse in Utah, but it's right next to a landfill. I'm like, next to like, I'm like, because now you got this contaminant like all over
Oh,
your house or whatever. I'm like, this thing, first of all, is in a box, inside another box, inside a gig bag, wrapped in plastic. There's It's not contaminated whatsoever,
how do you
but
even know that?
he's going on and on and on like this, and I'm like, I'm just letting him comment because I'm going to comment after. I'm like, yeah, I mean, keeping him on the hook just to get those comments rolling, and
Yeah.
then at the end, I'm like, do me a favor, go Google Amazon warehouse in Staten Island.
Yeah, the whole Staten Island is the whole Staten Island is a landfill.
Yeah, you see that nice green mound right there?
But
Fresh.
look, people, this is what they're worried about. They're worried about a guitar in a warehouse that's near a landfill. Like what? Like I don't know. I wouldn't give a shit about that stuff.
Your comment isn't gonna change the average viewers, but you just got me 50 comments on. Now he's probably gonna go there and delete them all. So if he ever sees
Right,
this,
right. So, what was the best guitar that you've unboxed? And did you like? I know you had like. Were you going to do like a contest and a giveaway? Did you give away the guitar yet?
yeah, so actually, that's the thing. Like I haven't even got to that. I want to build that one up.
Oh, okay.
And it's actually not the best one, but I think like even like the parts that I put into that one, uh, if somebody wants to cannibalize that after they win it, like
Yeah.
it's I want to do that like as a teaching thing to like, this is how you replace this part, you replace that part.
Mm,
But I haven't even gotten into that yet because my goal was to try to get like all the like the basic lines of like styles of guitars, like to
yeah.
get something into your hands and then go forward from there. And okay, now this is how you change this part or change that part.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy how much stuff's out there. But the best one I have actually is two, and it's from the same company. And I catch so much flack from it because nobody could believe, and they don't believe because like I'm not a virtuoso.
Yeah.
But this guitar, to me, honestly, it's the first one was a pink Stratocaster,
Hmm.
and it's $5 cheaper than my first guitar was back in '97,
Really?
and it plays unbelievable. But because I'm a not a great player, like you'll get people commenting, you don't know what you're talking about, or they don't believe it. But hey, you could believe it or you're not, but you could go spend $700 on a name brand guitar
Yeah.
because you want that name brand, or you could buy four of these and do different things what you want with it.
Yeah.
And then the next one, same company, is this, you know, blue Telecaster out there that I
Mhm.
just did. Same company, probably the best guitar I've ever played. And you get somebody like it. First of all, they complain because Telecaster is a name brand. That's like an actual name of. It's like the Camaro of a model of a actual name.
Okay.
Like that's not a Telecast. Like they pick and choose like that stuff to blame to like. It's just it. It's just like just click away.
Yeah. People, when they're watching your video, they're going to nitpick because they're watching. They're gonna nitpick every little thing that you say or do because they have nothing else to do in their fucking life.
And to protect that name brand, like they'll say, like this sounds nothing like a Telecaster guitar whatsoever, and then I'll come back. I'll be like, you're absolutely wrong. You lost credence when you said this thing sounds like a toy. You could say my playing sounds like dog shit. I would totally accept that, and I wouldn't even clap you back. But you can't tell me that this doesn't sound like an awesome guitar.
Yeah.
And if you don't think so, then go check out other people that have reviewed this.
Yeah.
Maybe it is my playing, but don't ever, like
Yeah.
knock something. Like I'm the first. I have plenty of guitars that I knock and say that they're horrible, and
Yeah.
I will let you know. I'm not here to, push something. Like I'm not going to push something that I don't believe in,
Yeah.
or. So
So,
it's
so what do you see like in the future? Like where do you see the channel in the future? Like what you want to do? You had said like breaking it down, building it back up. Do you see yourself? Where do you see the channel in the future? Like what you want to do?
I mean, hopefully to progress and get more like name brand stuff, and still do the introductory stuff because that's still always going to have some sort of following.
Yeah.
Definitely a lot more people that are getting into this, um, that sort of range than they are going for like the $3,000 $4,000 guitar,
Yeah.
and just being something different. I mean, I don't want to put too much effort into doing all those skits that I do that you see on something that's a chintzy $40 guitar that sounds like crap.
Yeah.
Like people don't understand too how much time and effort goes into that stuff. Just putting in something that like a split screen of me on one side of the bed, like that's
A lot
that's
of
like
work for a small for a menial
for a
product.
small, it might have been like 15 seconds in a video.
It's amazing. People just don't understand how much time it takes to do stuff like that. It's just so time consuming. I actually enjoy like the editing process, like in overlays and putting like the subscribe button
Yeah.
on and all that stuff and adding pictures. I kind of like that, but it takes all day. Like a 2 hour interview that I did a couple weeks ago. I have to watch it like 4 times to do everything. So now
Yep.
it's 8 hours. I'm watching this same video. It's
Mhm.
very, very. It's not that it's hard work. It definitely content creating is definitely challenging. Learning all this stuff, and then especially you're doing a product with guitars and
Mhm.
playing and pedals and you're really getting into like the nuances of guitars and how they work. Like I'm just talking to people and and editing a little bit, but it's really really time consuming. And
Yeah.
if you want to consider that hard, then yes, then that's hard. But for me, it's just super time consuming.
And for some reason, sometimes when you're using the editing software, it'll like not work. Like when you try to I spent like 5 hours one day trying just to export a finalized video, and looking up, nobody could explain the issue whatsoever. Trying to Google like issues, it's
Yeah,
like do delete all these files, like the made up files, call them render files, or then change the settings, or then delete the program and reinstall it, or start the like it's like
like
goes from one to the drastic, and then you finally
Unplug
get.
it and plug it back in.
I'm like, so I spent an hour shooting this thing, 4 hours editing it, and then 5 hours trying to export it so I can get it up by a certain time.
So I found out, because I still use, for this, I'm using my laptop. But when I do other ones and I have the editing, like I'm using three iPhone 14 Pros. And I found out that one of my phones was filming in 4K and the other two were filming in 1080. And the 4K takes up way more space on the phone than the 1080s. And then trying to put them on the one app, the LumaFusion app, to sync all them up with the audio was taking all day to sync that up because of that one, because the video was larger than the other ones. And then to export it, it took me 2 days to export almost 2 days to upload the video of Lieutenant Walsh's interview to YouTube. It was because of that, but I don't know. But this is the shit that I'm learning. That's challenging and time consuming. Now I'm figuring it out, but it's crazy. It's crazy. This whole content creating is nuts.
In one aspect, we have it a little bit easier because we do have our phones. So like people don't realize, like they think that you probably have an amazing setup and they probably expect a little bit better for you because they see crystal clear video. And it's like, no, I'm shooting this on an iPhone where the guy that did this 20 years ago didn't have, an iPhone. He had how to use like an actual regular camera. But it would be easier if you did have a regular camera, but a regular camera costs you $2,000, and I'm not going to spend $2,000 on something that I'm going to get some 12-year-old telling me, you suck, kid. So.
You know what I recently did? I recently bought the Rodecaster audio interface, the Rodecaster pod mics, which are really, really good. And I'm still figuring out how to use them. But my last two interviews, I actually interviewed my son the other day. We had like a little talk. The last two interviews, the last 30 seconds of the audio, the first interview was almost 2 hours. His was just a little over an hour. For some reason, the last 30 seconds went mute. I have no idea why, and I didn't find out. I didn't figure it out until I spliced everything together, and it just cut off. Like we were saying goodbye or whatever, and the audio just cut off, and I have no idea why. So
it's great, and you got to deal with that stuff, and you're pulling your hair out, and like it's just the stuff that like nobody sees. It's like so you just would love, hey, just click away,
right for a video that 50 people are going to see. That just took you 2 days to do all this work, and you're going to put it up and you'll be like, oh, I'm so excited, and then nobody watched.
And I see some guys out there, like I'll find stuff just from trying to find inspiration to do, and I find a great content creator. I'm like, wow, this is awesome, but they might not have like any flashy thumbnails or anything like that, and I'm like, oh, let me see what they're doing now. Go and I click on their latest video. It's like, yeah, you know what? YouTube's not working out. I'm giving up. I'm done. I'm like, what? I'm like, this guy was great. Like, but
it definitely is a commitment. It definitely is a commitment. Now that I'm going back to work in a couple of weeks, it's going to be, to do interviews is tough, man. But dude, this has been very cool. Searching for Tone. I really appreciate catching up with you, man. It was awesome. Where else can we find you, bro, on social media?
Just Googling Searching for Tome on Facebook and Instagram, and trying to do that. Like that's the fine thing too about as like doing this is I am not really a like technologically advanced type person, so to learn all that stuff too. I was never a TikToker before this.
No,
and it seems like that's the way to go, but I hate it.
Dude, the reason why I'm on TikTok, real quick story. My son's friend, they're all going away to college, and we hadn't seen this kid in a while, and he shows up. And he's a super nice kid. He's 18 years old, and I'm like, oh, Leo, man, how's things? How you doing? Where are you looking to go to college? He's like, well, we're moving out to LA. I was like, oh, okay, why? He's like, I'm going to do the music thing, and I'm like, what do you mean the music thing? What are you talking about? He goes, we just got a record deal. Him and his two brothers got a record deal, and they're moving out to LA. They got signed to like Paramount Records or something like that. He's got like a boy band with his brothers. So I go, how the hell did that happen? He goes, well, we made a video. We wrote this song, sang it, made a video, put it on TikTok. And I wasn't on TikTok yet. He goes, and we blew up on TikTok and moved over to YouTube and started blowing up on YouTube. And And I was like, so I went right on the channel, and he was like, you got to get on TikTok and put all your short videos on TikTok and see what happens. So I did that a couple months ago, and sure enough, yesterday, 15, 16,000, I'm still getting notifications about that TikTok. So even though I don't really like TikTok, it seems to be good to, hopefully you get a couple of viewers, go over to YouTube and subscribe to your channel. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. Listen, the problem with mine too is like it's like so niche oriented too. Is that whole retention editing thing, like the Mr. Beast type stuff, where you're like speaking very quickly and changing the camera very quickly and trying to like that doesn't really work with mine. Like I dipped my balls in honey and ran through the forest of the Smoky Mountain Forest during bear season to see what happened. Stay tuned to see what happens like
but
that.
they also have a team of people working with them. They have editors, producers. Like, you don't realize those bigger channels like have a lot of people. Like you and I, it's you. You're the cameraman. You're the freaking the sound guy. You're the editor. You're the producer. That's what people don't get. Like, so we're doing everything ourselves, and new channels can understand that for sure.
Yeah.
You got any advice for any new channels?
I would say just don't give up. Like, well, so the caveat is to don't get into it for the money.
Yeah, there ain't
like, if you're looking to, unless you are an extremely charismatic person, you got a great content. You're also looking to do things that are super popular, like current event, like celebrity type stuff. Like it's like that Hawk 2 girl.
Oh yeah,
if you're into that type of like, if you could capture that in the first hour, you can get like 3 million views. You just got to be Johnny on the spot, get it up there, and you take off. But to me, I'm not looking to just do it for that.
Mm-hmm.
Stick it out for the long haul, and eventually, hopefully, it will come. And just be yourself, because you're going to resonate with people. Don't try to target, because this person's doing it that way. Everybody has a different take on things, and you can bring something to the table.
All right. Cool, man. All right. So I think we'll end it here, man. I appreciate you coming out. Searching for Tone on YouTube. Check it out. Subscribe. Searching for Tone on Instagram. Searching for Tone on Facebook. Yep. And you also have a Patreon, did you say?
I do have a Patreon, but that's more for like trying to help get people stuff. Like as far as like, it is going to benefit me, but I set it up to like hopefully be able to purchase things to give away to those people. So
for the channel.
Yeah. So it's to help create content, but eventually, like it maxes out. It would just break even. So
all right,
I don't think normal people like that are just watching every day would want a guitar pedal or guitar, but you could sell it if you want to.
Yeah. Cool, brother. Well, I appreciate you stopping by. I'm gonna hit stop, but I think we'll still record for a second. Oh, not record, but we'll say our goodbyes. But anyway, thanks, Brian. Remember, it must be true if you heard it at the kitchen table. See you at the big one.